First thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create my files from the command line. I'm going to create a directory. So make dir Alan's timer lesson. There we go. And then do an ls c. Oh snaps! This is inside of UCLA. Whatever. I'll move it to my desktop later. Gonna cd into the new folder. Do an ls. Obviously, there's nothing there because it's just a brand new folder. And I'm gonna create an index.html and a main.js. So you can create multiple folders and files by doing this, and it doesn't need to be comma separated. So little tip for you guys. So then we do an ls, see that we're not crazy, that these files actually exist. We do a code dot to open up our editor, and they better be there. Hey, look at that, they're there. Hey, cool. But that's a command B, so I'm closing and opening by doing that, command B. All right, so you guys already know a lot of HTML, enough HTML to get by. So like, I'm not gonna explain none of this stuff, and I'm gonna just hit the exclamation mark and do a tab, and it gives me exactly like a starter skeleton to begin with. Let me show you what today's goal is. Actually, that's my bad. So we're building this timer out. Well, we don't really see a timer. We see an input box with a placeholder max time and a button called create a timer. So let's leave it blank and see what happens. Oh, not a number. Oh my god. Little error handling for the user experience. And let's put a number in there. And we have a bar that decreases every second. Put 100 seconds. So that's like a minute and a half plus 10. And yeah, so and then what? Let's do another one. Oh, another bar, different color though. And then let's do another one. Put 6 seconds. Oh, another one, and let's do 10 seconds. Oh, another one, but it's kind of hard to see the number inside because yellow and white is kind of hard to, and then do another one and another yellow one. So by default, we are showing a yellow bar after the first 3 have been created. Cool. I'm gonna refresh this. Oops, I pressed Command T. I'm gonna press Command R this time. La. Okay, so let's return back to our our code. So the very first thing that I like to see is some content on the page, a little bit of content. So what I'm gonna do is create a div, and I'm gonna give that div a class of 1 second, a class called timer. Timer. There we go. We'll just start with 1 div for now. And so we hit Command S. Let's check out our. Oh wait, 1 second. Blah 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 blah. Open with default browser. Okay, we don't see anything. Well, for good reason. We just created a div called timer and didn't give it any styling. I'm gonna give it a little bit of styling. We see it on the page though, which is cool. And as you can see, yeah, you can see it there. So I'm gonna minimize that. Let's give it some styling. I'll just give me some style text right here. I don't really care where they are. Just put it right here. And since it's a class, we use this dots, although this is not a CSS tutorial or whatever. I'm going to give it a width of 100. I'm going to give it a height of, I don't know, 40 pixels. And got to give it a background color. I think those are like the most basic things that must exist for like to see something appear on a page. Essentially, some width, a height, and a background color. Unless you put content in here, then you'll see, you'll see it up here. But I think these are like the most basic things you need to have if you don't have any content. So we minimize that, and there we go. Refresh. Boom, baby. We see our div that is blue. And let's look at the goal. So we want it to decrease in size every second. You see that? We're making it decrease, but I'm making it decrease by I don't know if you guys can see this down here, but I'm actually just pressing the down key on my, up and down, whatever. But that's the goal essentially. But we want JavaScript to do it because that's how I wrote today's lesson. Okay, cool. So hopefully everything is well understood. We have a little bit of styling, we have a width, we have some height, background color, boom, 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 and we have a div with a class timer. Now we want to have some JS. Script tag, you guys have seen this already. It needs a source, has a source, I guess, attribute, and then we need the path to the, I don't know why I have two of each, that's weird. Either way, and it's probably best to put like a type text JavaScript, I think is what it is. What else could it be? I don't know actually. All right, now I want to make sure that close that. I want to make sure that my my JavaScript is loaded. So I'm just going to do a simple console.log. Well, load it, or actually I want to make sure I got the path correct. So path is correct. So just some basic stuff we've seen before, a little console log. Gonna minimize this again, gonna refresh, gonna look at, boom, path is correct on line 1. Look at that, that is beautiful. That is freaking beautiful. Yep, it's down here. Cool. So now that we have some content on the page, we have our main JS file, we know we got the path correct. The next thing that we want to do is we want to be able to manipulate that DOM element. So we need a reference to that DOM element, right? Right. We're going to show the reference to a variable. So I'm just going to call it timer DOM. Document.get element by, is it ID? Is it? I don't know. Let's look. Oh no, we set it as a class. So we're not gonna use document .get element by ID. We're gonna get elements by class name. And by the way, you guys have been using a whole lot of jQuery. We're not gonna use jQuery for this. And I'm just gonna put timer. And you don't confuse jQuery with JavaScript in terms of getting elements from the actual page, or it can be kind of confusing because there's a lot of similarities. Obviously, is jQuery and JavaScript, but the reason why I'm saying that is because I don't want you guys to think that you need to put a dot here. We have already said explicitly get elements by class name. That dot represents classes, and so what I'm saying is, just in case it's not clear, the equivalent for jQuery here would be this right here, and we don't need that at all. We don't need the dot, or else it won't work. And also, same thing for the hashtag. Cool. That was long-winded and not really probably necessary to explain. But anyways, good. You guys are smarty pants. Var original. I'm gonna create a variable called original time, and the reason behind that is, I sort of. We're building up to what we have. You'll see throughout this tutorial that we're building very, very small incremental steps to to what the last to what you saw, to what I previewed you. There we go. So sorry about that. So I'm gonna set it to 5. Later on, I'm gonna make this more dynamic, where the user has the opportunity to have an input and set the original time that way. But for now, we're gonna just hard code it, and we're gonna have an updated time. And I'm gonna set this to whatever the original time is. So this is not gonna change, but this is. And if something's not gonna change, you'll usually use a different variable name, but we won't go over that right now. Not the variable name, but it's a different keyword, and it's not bar. Well, we won't go over that right now. So timer dom is going to equal timer dom at 0. Now, why the hell am I setting timer dom to timer dom at 0? Well, I'll tell you why. So we're gonna do a console log up here, or better yet, I'll show you why. I think showing is better than telling. I always think that. And we'll do like and above, and we'll do a below, so we can very much see the difference. I'm gonna save, and I'm going to go back to the browser, gonna refresh, and all right, so above gives us back an array. It's a HTML collection. We see the brackets here, and we even see the like a 0 here. So even give us the length of the array. So pretty cool. And then below gave us the actual div elements that exist on the page. So does that make sense? I'm gonna take your silence as a yes. So we get an array back here, and I don't want an array. I just want the specific one that it currently is there. I don't want to use an array. Yeah. Cool. And so I know for sure that I want the I want to set interval, because I needed to. Oh, what the heck? That was cool. I mean, well, okay, sorry. You don't want to see this. I didn't know that there was a. I didn't think that was gonna happen. I didn't even. Anyways, I thought that it was gonna just spell out set interval, not do the rest for me. So I'm gonna just type it out myself and type in the actual word function. And so we've seen set interval before. We know that it takes a function here, and we as the first parameter, and as the second parameter, it takes a number. And it, our Visual Code Studio handy thing gives us some hints here. The handler, which is a callback function, and we have the timeout, and then it says dot argument. So you could add more arguments to this set interval method if you wanted to, but we're not. We're just gonna set the two things that we normally have or have been using. So 1,000 milliseconds is 1 second. All right, I'm still the only person in this room talking to myself. Will I see you again? It's a good song. Anyways, var. So yeah, set interval. We already know what it does. It is called every 1 second. So so in here, 1 second. I'll look at my notes. And here, I just want to test to see if this works. Just want to test it. Always test. Am I working? Make sure it's working. Write a little bit of code, test. Write a little bit of code, test. So refresh the window, and it is working. Now, that's cool, I'm happy to see that it's working. I am a happy cowboy. Now, what we want to do is we want to be able to decrease the bar every second. Now that we have our set interval, we know that it's running every second. We want to have access to decrease that bar every single second. So let's do that. We have the reference right here. Now, you guys probably don't really know a lot of JavaScript specific methods. I'm sure you haven't seen this before. Maybe you have. I don't know for sure. I don't know your life. But we have the reference to the DOM as a sort of a variable right here. Now we have access to change some things if we like. So I'm just gonna test this. I want to say timer DOM dot style, meaning I want to change the styling, manipulate it, whatever. Let's get some space there. And I want to update its width. So let's see here. Equals, I don't want it at 50, and I don't believe it can be a number. I think it has to be a string specifically. So I want it at 50%. Now, my code editor, Visual Code Studio, gives me a little squiggly line. It's giving me a hint. It's like, yo, this doesn't look right. But if I turn this into a string, it's happy. Unhappy, happy, unhappy, happy. All right, so we save it and refresh. It's 100%. Now it's at 50%. Oh my God. Freaking phenomenal, right? All right, but that wasn't really the goal. The goal was to make it decrease every second. Oh, we have a participant. Hey, I went in and started recording the lesson to okay, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. So geez. All right, so I already created the HTML, added the styling and the div and the script tag. Shoot. You know what? I'll just start all over. Just for you. Yeah, we'll close this. No, we won't close it. We'll just erase it. All right, so Saida, the goal here is to build this. So if there's no text in here, we get not a number. If we do add text, we still get not a number. But if we add a number, we get a bar that decreases every second. Let's add another one. Why not? We do 20 seconds. Get a bar that decreases every second. And let's do another one. Let's do 10 seconds. Get another bar. And let's do another one that decreases. And this one's yellow, but you can still barely see the text, but it's there. And yellow is pretty much like the default color. So that is the goal. And I think we can do this within an hour. We should be able to anyways. And so, Let me know if you can see my text clear enough too. And if you have any questions, just toggle your microphone. And that might be a little too close. But let me know if it's too much zoom or not enough zoom, and I'll fix it. So you already understand HTML, so I'm not gonna explain that at all really. We're gonna save, and the first thing I'd like to do is see a little bit of content on the page. I'm gonna create a div. We're gonna give it a class called timer, and let's check this out in the browser. Let's see what happens. So when I open with default browser, I don't see anything, but you know, since we do know that Chrome Dev Tools exists, we can inspect the page, and we see that the timer, that the div element with the class timer does in fact exist. So now what I want to do is essentially add some styling to it, just so I feel a bit more comfortable trying to manipulate some data. Um, it's like visual. It's like a visual cue essentially. So timer, we know that classes must have a dot, um, and so we need to add a width to it. It's at 100%. Background color. Color. Give it blue. And the height. Oh, by the way, don't just watch me. Don't try to follow. All this code will be handed to you. Trust me. Don't try to keep up with me. I'm going pretty fast here. So these are pretty much the basics. Basic properties that we need to see an element appear if we don't have any content here. If we have content, then it will show, but it's pretty much this is the basic stuff that we need essentially. All right, now I'm gonna go back to my browser. I'm gonna refresh, and I see a bar there. The bar doesn't do anything, not yet, but it will. Trust me, it's gonna do something in a little bit. All right, so now we see timer with some styling, and the goal is to make this bar decrease in width every single second going on here. Now I don't want to physically do it. I'd rather have JavaScript do it, because that'll be an annoyance to do. Now I see that I have main.js here. I'm gonna create the script tags, and we know that when you have script tags, you have to have a source. And since it's locally on my computer, I just give it a relative path, main.js, and it's probably just best to do the type equals text JavaScript. I don't know. Well, I know that this, for certain things, the type does affect things, but I can't give you an exact reason why. But it's best to have it. I remember working at my previous company. Without that, it caused a bug. But I kind of forgot why. So just to let you know, it's just best to have it than without. Now, I want to test if my file path or file loaded. So let's see. Am I loaded? Let's see if JavaScript loaded, if the file path is correct. Let's refresh. We check the console. We see am I loaded appears, and it's on line 1. So we then know that we are so far so good. All right, now I'm not going to use jQuery. Only going to use JavaScript. So you won't see .timer or hashtag anything here. But the first thing I need is to get a reference of our timer class here. So I'm going to do var, because I want to set it to a variable, timer dom equals documents dot get elements by class name. So I just need to pass in timer. I don't need the dots here, because I explicitly said get elements by class name, so it knows it's looking for a class. Don't need a dot. That's a jQuery thing. Don't need that. Don't need that. All right. Now we have a reference of the timer DOM, but I want to check. I don't know. Do I really have it? Cool. Let's figure it out. Console.log timer DOM. We just incrementally making changes. Boom. We see that we have an HTML collection. That's what it says. So that must mean it's an array. We see the brackets there. See that? See the brackets, the opening and closing brackets? And then you have a 0 there. So we have an array. I kind of don't want to mess with an array. I'd rather mess with the actual, like the element that's inside the array. So in order to access that directly without using an array, I do timer DOM equals timer DOM at 0. Now, because I know that this is an array, I can do the brackets at 0, and I'm just setting my variable again. Instead of me having to say var tdom, we just set it again. That's all. Just set it again. And so when we refresh our page, we have not an array, but the actual element itself. And when I hover on top of it, you can see that the opacity changes a little bit. So when I hover, opacity changes. Pretty cool. We know exactly the element that we're affecting here. And if you have any questions, by all means, ask them. Just talk to your microphone. I don't know if you can see. I don't know if you. I don't know what the screen looks like for you, but if you see your mic, just stop me and I'll try to clarify things. So all right. So var original, and I'll explain this in a second. Original time equals 5, and I want to create another variable called updated time equals original time. Now, the original time should never change. And you'll see, excuse me, I'm kind of burpy. And you'll see why in a second. An updated time will change. That's why I call it updated time. You'll kind of see why we have updated time and original time in a second. It's part of the formula for us to get a percentage. And so let's continue. Set interval. There we go. And you've seen set interval. You've seen it 1,000 times. You know that the first thing that we pass in here inside of our set interval method is a function. It's a callback. You've been using callbacks. We just haven't named it yet. Named them callbacks, but you've been using callbacks since like day one, so you're very, very familiar with them. And then the second parameter that goes inside our set interval method is a number, and I'm just going to decrease it by 1,000 milliseconds, which is the equivalent of 1 second. And now I'm going to open this up. There we go. Looks even more familiar when it's opened up like that. It looks better. So I want to see if this works. I know it's lots of testing. Let's see. Do I work? Just incrementally checking things. Okay, now we know that it works. Let's continue. Now I want to change the width of the timer DOM, that DOM element, that div that we created on the page. I want to change that width. So I'm going to say timer DOM dot style, which is a property on the div element. So it gives us this. It allows us to change the styling of it, and I want to specifically change the width of this style, the style on the div. And so, let's say I want to change it to 50. 50 is not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Let's test it though. Let's see if it does. Let's refresh. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'm pretty certain that this has to be set to a string. And I don't want to set, can't do 50 pixels, doesn't work. The editor complains. I can't do 50%, the editor complains. It's happy though when I do a string. See that? When I go back? Oh wait, when I go, see? It's still a little red line. It's unhappy. But when I do string, as soon as I fix that, there we go. It's happy. So let's refresh. It changed with, yeah, and I didn't have to do anything. Obviously the problem with this is it's changing with once, and it's not going based off like every second decrease, uh, de- decrease in size based off a set time. So I hard coded original time and updated time here. And don't be confused by me setting this to another variable. This is just it's the same thing as 5 here. I'm sure you already know that, but anyways, um, so we have to get the percentage of the original time and the updated time. So don't think I'm a smart guy. I would as soon as this thing got out of the way, I needed to look up how to find percentage of a number. I had to look it up. I haven't been in high school in a while, so I don't really know. And it gives us the answer right here. You just divide. Oh, whoa. That's not the full answer. La 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 la. Oh, well, the link I clicked on isn't highlighted anymore. I think it's because I need to do how to find percentage between two numbers. Between two numbers. There we go. Yeah, that's the link. Here's another link I clicked on. So I'm not that smart. I had to look up the formula, and it basically says you have to divide the small number by the higher number, and you get the decimals, and then you multiply by 100 to move it over to decimal places. It makes sense. And if that still doesn't make sense to you, you can look up how to you can do JavaScript blah 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 percentage between two numbers, and it gives you a formula as well.
Alan?
Hello? Yeah, hey.
Hey, hi, say that. Quick question. You're taking percentage of the width of the screen, and then we can divide it by 5. But what if we want to make it responsive, and if we are on a cell phone and we want to see the bar like decreasing every second?
So if you're on a cell phone, this should still work because let's see. I shrunk my screen. Let's refresh it. Even though we're not using media queries, so it still decreases, and it's going by the max width of 100%. So in this case, it still sort of works.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, or I lost you there?
Yeah, it makes sense, but I'll let you code. Maybe that would be make sense more.
If what?
I'll let you code the function out.
Oh, code the function out? Yeah, of course. So we'll code it out. The we want to find the percentage. So let's say var percentage equals our updated time, because that's the changing variable, and it's the smaller number. It's going to be divided by the original time. So we're gonna get a decimal based off of this. At first is 5 divided by 5, which is 1. Then if you remember the formula we just looked at, we multiply by 100. And I'm just gonna throw some parentheses around it, because if you follow PEMDAS, parens comes first, and then the rest of the operators follow, and then I'm gonna multiply by 100 here. So I want to follow that strictly, and so when updated time, because this is our changing variable, we're going to decrease it every second. So now that we have our percentage, I'm going to set this here with string concatenation. This is going to be updated every single second, and it's going to change our width every single second. Now let's check it out in the browser. There we go. So it's changing. Let's refresh again. It's being updated. And if it let's show it. Let's show that it's the percentage being, you know, save. And I'm gonna expand this. Boom. Now, there's one thing I don't like. I don't like the delay that it takes. So I'm going to set this to -1 because like it feels like a second has already passed. If that makes sense, it just feels like, there we go. That feels better to me. It's like a visual thing. Maybe I'm weird. I don't know. But and we could change this to 100 if we wanted to, and then take 100 seconds to completely decrease to, you know, to lose its width essentially, right? So, does that answer your question?
The time.
Sorry, what?
As right now, original time and updated time are the same thing. Where are you reducing the time by 1?
Yeah, so I am reducing the time by 1 because the updated time is what's being reduced. Is
Oh yeah, I saw it now.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't. Yeah. Maybe I wrote that a little too fast. And if we look at the percentage that we're logging here, percentage, and we log it there, we see it being decreased every second.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So there we go. That's cool, but that's not the end goal here, right? We wanted to do something a little bit differently. Let's see here. Let me just check my notes real quick, if you don't mind. La 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 la. Actually, I'm gonna write in some. Actually, I'm not gonna write it in. You'll see it in the final file when I share it with you guys. So the problem that we have here is that this continues again and again and again. I mean, well, okay, so let me fix that. It's not that it continues again and again and again. It's make sure that's saved. It's 5. We'll do a console.log of updated time and refresh. All right, 3, 2, 1, -1, -2. That's a problem. It's a huge problem. I mean, for the end user, they don't see it, but it'll essentially slow down. You don't want your browser doing things that's unnecessary. Essentially, it'll eventually slow it down a bit, and it's just not. We know that it's a problem. We need to clear this interval. So the only way to clear an interval is to call the method clear interval. But clear interval takes a parameter, and it needs the ID of whatever the set interval is. So what we do is we have to set it to an ID. So my interval ID equals that. Now, you might be wondering, what the heck is it gets set to an ID? That doesn't make any sense. Let's console.log it. It gets set to an ID. It does. Trust me, it does. So when we refresh, line shoot, let me ignore that. I won't confuse you. All right, so line 18, my interval ID. We refresh, main.js line 18. That's the ID that gets created. Do it again. That's the ID that gets created. Do it again. That's the ID that gets created. So we need to store that in a variable so that we can pass that into our clear interval. But we don't want to call this immediately. We don't want this to run and then it gets called immediately, because then if that happens, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. If that happens, let's check here. Shoot, I'm sorry. We do that, then nothing runs. Nothing runs. We only want to clear our interval when it's at 0. when updated time is at 0. So we can create a conditional here. We just check if updated time is less than or equal to 0, and if that is the case, we'll run clear interval. Constant log, make sure it's working right. We'll say updated time. We'll do that, and we'll pass in the variable here so we can see what updated time is, and we can do updated time there too. So there we go. That was the ID. I didn't get rid of that log. So look at that. The time is 0. It's at 14 and at 18. So look at that. And it stops running. Our set interval completely stops running, stop executing, which is great. It's phenomenal. But this still isn't really the end goal. So, and just for funsies, we can also, real quick, we can get rid of that. We know that it works. We can also put timer DOM dot inner HTML. I'm sure you've seen this before. Maybe early on before we got into jQuery, equals updated time. Just so we can see the number as well. And we refresh. Oh, that did not work.
It did. You can see on the far right corner.
Oh, okay. It did. You're right. Hey, look at that.
The color was black. It wasn't apparent.
Yeah. So we're gonna change the color to white, and we're going to do text align center, and we'll do a font size. Font size 18 pixels. So when we refresh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we can see it. Cool. All right. So that's cool, but that wasn't the end goal. We saw an input button. We saw an input field, and we saw a button create timer. We want to do that, don't we? Yeah, I think we do. So the next step in the next step here. Let's see here. But we saw 3 different bars decrementing, right? So I don't know. The project manager says, "Hey, I love what you did so far, but I want to see 3 of them working in concert together." So we're like, "Okay, well, all right, 3. We'll give you 3. You know, we just copy and paste, and copy and paste a couple times, right? And then we do a little copy and paste here as well, and we think that's gonna work, but it's not gonna work. And here's why. We're creating a timer DOM, setting it, it's an array. We set it to the exact DOM, the exact element in that array. And all this is read, and JavaScript says, all right, I only see one of these because it only sees one because, let me visually show you. We see 3 of them, but only one works because the naming, the variable names need to change in order for this to actually work. But we'll and this looks like it's messy. It's not fun. I'm not even gonna change the variable names and make it work. It isn't proper at all. It doesn't look right. So what we can do here is make it 10 times better. My God, we can make this a whole lot better. And we freaking will. Actually, I will. I guess I could show you something. Yeah, I'm just gonna copy and paste this code in real quick, and I'm gonna revert it back. But just to show that we can get it all working just by changing the variables. Look at that. So it works, but it's still messy. Timer DOM, updated time to timer DOM to my interval ID to, and it doesn't. I don't like it. I don't think you like it either. So I'm gonna revert that. Now let's see here. Oh, I'll just jump right into it, huh? Okay. All right, so let's make this bad boy dynamic and cool. I'm excited. All right, so we're going to do I want that? Do I want that? Uh, we're gonna get rid of all of these. We're gonna get rid of all of these. We're gonna create the div element by using JavaScript. Purely freaking JavaScript. Okay, now, but I do sort of want a container. So you're gonna see me do something pretty cool. This is sort of, if you look over here, it tells you what you're about to do here. It says I'm about to create a class within, excuse me, within a div. So I'm gonna call that class container, and I'm just gonna press tab to create it. So it does that for me. Little speed production. So we do that, and now I want to get access to that. We're gonna just ignore a lot of that code right now. I don't think we need any. I don't think we need it anymore, anyways. So since we don't need it anymore, I should just delete it. But for now, just in case, I'm gonna comment it out. So I'm gonna create a variable called container, and I want access to that container. So document dot get element by ID, because wait, I'm gonna change this to an ID. I'm gonna change to an ID. So again, I don't need the hashtag because we're not using jQuery. We just pass in container because that's what we named it, and now we have access to that DOM element. Now we're also going to create the button, the div. Wait a second. The input. Yeah, we're going to create the input right now. Dang it. Type text, yes sir. And we're going to give an ID called max time. And we're going to give it a placeholder called max timer. Max time. And we're going to create one more thing, and that's where we are done. We're going to create a button. No more freaking HTML, because this is not exciting. I'm going to call it create timer button as the ID, and I'm going to say create a timer. Now, we need to be able to access all of those things within JavaScript. We already have container here. Now we're going to create var create timer button equals document dot get element by ID, and I'm just going to copy the name here just to make sure I don't have any misspellings. Boom. And what I want to do is something very specific to this create timer button. I want to add an event listener called click. So when the user clicks on the button, something actually happens. So we have the DOM element here. This is the actual DOM element within JavaScript. We want to use add an event listener, and our code editor says, hey, you have a bunch of different listeners you can use, just pick one. So we have dot add event listener. It's a method. It kind of tells us it's a method, and you can look this up too, add event listener, just Google. And we want to use the click. You've seen this before. Exactly. You've seen this, and it tells us exactly what's needed. It says, hey, type click, listener, blah, 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 blah. It gives us an event as a... It gives us the event that happens within the function as well. So when I say that, function, there we go. I think it gives us this essentially. It gives us the event that happened, and then we can constant log. You've seen this before, events, just like a little refresher. That's what I mean. Give us the event object that exists within the click. But I don't really want to use function here. I kind of want to create my own function if that's cool. I think that'd be cleaner. Function. I'm going to create a name function called create timer. And there we go. Now I'm going to pass this into here like that. We've done this like once or twice already. It's the same exact thing as same exact thing as this, but I don't want to do that. Just don't want to do it. But let's see if it works. Constant.log. Do I work? Always, you know, it helps so much just to log whatever's going on. It's just so handy. We're gonna open within the default browser, and we're gonna open up our console here, and we're gonna just click it. It works. Beautiful. It worked 5 times right there. That's amazing. Now we're gonna go back to our main.js. So again, one more time, just to emphasize it once more, we could have just typed in function here and done, you know, blah 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 blah, and you know, but I think it's a little prettier. You know, why not? Boom. Now, create timer. We call that function. Now we do a var max time input. Now we're getting access to our max time input field. Field, the element, whatever. Same thing, same difference, same. Get element by d max time. Now there's a reason why I rather have it within here than out here. Now I don't. Okay, so why do we have these document.get element by ID container and the create timer button, and why would I prefer this in here? Now we only need these references once. Every time someone creates every time someone clicks this button, I don't want to call to the DOM again and again for things that's unnecessary. I only need that once. But for this one in particular, max time input, I need to get it every single time, and I'll show you why. Max time input, we're gonna console.log max time input dot value, I believe. Yes, I believe that's it. If it's not it, then I'll find out for sure. Now when I click it, it's empty. Oh, okay, never mind. Maybe I only need it once. Well, never mind. Okay, cool. Interesting. Alright, so we'll need it once. We'll need to call to the DOM every single time. It's a waste of I don't know. It's a waste for the browser to constantly call to something that's unnecessary, and it ultimately, on a larger application, can slow things down a lot. So we'll do it. We'll do that outside of the create timer function. We're missing one more thing. I want to create one more div for the error that we saw earlier. So div error, and we're going to create some styling for it right now. Dot error. The color was white. The background color was red. All right, so I think that's all that was needed. Oh, we kind of want to hide it too. Whenever we're gonna toggle this hide thing, you'll see this. You'll see in a little bit. And display block. There we go. All right, so create timer. Back to the JS, baby. All right. I want to create a couple divs. One more thing. Just to speed things up, gonna do error. Pass an error here. All right, so fun part. I'm gonna create a couple variables here, and you may have not seen variables being created this way, but it's a quick little one-liner. Average time. So uptime, average time, just kind of halfway abbreviated or shortened updated time and original time. And I'm going to create a div here. So this is the same exact thing as var and var div. Just undefined. It's the same exact thing, but it's a quick little one-liner. And so don't be confused by that. If it's too confusing, I'll create individual var keywords for each one of those. But it's a shorthand way of doing this. All right. So one of the very first things that I like to do is, sorry, not very first thing. What we need to do is set the erase time to some sort of value. So whenever someone clicks that button, we want to get the value from the input field that we had just created. So we do max time. Max time dot max time input. If I can get the variable name right, max time input dot value here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Value. Now let's just make sure it still works. That's all. Which time? But this is very particular though. We want to make sure that it's not text. So when I do parse int, this is how we check it. One, we have to convert the. Sorry, there's a couple things going on here. We'll check if it's not. We'll check if it's a text in a second. But we also have to convert, if it's a number, we have to convert it into a number because we don't want it to be a string. So parse int. So there's two things that we have to do. First, we're going to convert it to a number. Let's see here. Put in 4. Cool, 4. Let's see some text. Not a number. So that's what we need to do. We need to check if it's a number. We also need to convert it to a number instead of a string, and we also have to make sure it's not some sort of text. So we did. The first thing was to do was convert it to a number. Mission accomplished. Now we need to make sure that we're not passing text to our the functions that we're going to create a little bit later in order to decrease the width of the bar. And if I lost you a little bit, just stop me now. Like, yo, what's going on, Alan? You're going too fast. All right, so first part, mission accomplished. Now we want to check if there's let's check if it's a we gotta write a case for it, not a number. So we do have a method called isNan, which does exactly what you think it is. It's going to say if it's not a number or not. So when we do orig time, we pass in orig time into it. We can do console.log. This is not a number here, and we don't need to do that. So check, always check as much as you can to some text. This is not a number, which is correct. We pass in some numbers. We don't see it, but we pass in something else. Oh, wait. There we go. Some numbers. There you go. All right, cool. So now you see the importance of isNan. All right, cool. You understand the importance of converting the number into an integer. Oh, okay. No biggie. No problem. All right. Continue. Gotcha. Just me. Cool. IsNan is not a number. Orig time. We pass in orig time. This is not a number. Sweet. So continue on. Now we can update the error dot inner HTML, just to, handle our cases for the user experience. We've got to tell them it's not a number, not a number. So let's see if that works. Blah 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 blah. Oh wait, of no error. Wait, what? Oh, it's a class. Look at that. No, I don't want a class. Let's do an IE. Whatever. We can leave it as a class. I don't care. It don't matter. We can just do this. Error at 0. There we go. So, how you gonna get me undefined, bro? Get element. Get elements by class name. All right. Still under what? Document.get elements by class name error. Can I not do that? Error equals error at 0. What? Did I? Oh, done. I'm a dumbass. There we go. Alright, sometimes I'm done. That's okay. I don't mind that. So refresh. There we go, not a number. Alright, ooh, let's go back up. I'm gonna do it at 0 here, just to keep it clean. Why not? And just to make sure it works. Hey, look at that. And because I want it to be a little bit prettier. Text align center. Look at that. Beautiful. I just want you to know. Okay, cool. Okay. Now, where are we? Okay. Is name. We check if it's not a number. We continue on to do else. I want to set this to an empty string. Or actually, I just want to hide it. So we do error.classList, something that you guys probably haven't seen too often. Class list add hide. So I created a class called hide that will just simply hide the element with display none. Also, what I want to do is up here, I'm going to copy and paste this here, and I'm going to do remove this class. So if it's already set, then I want to remove it, or else I can't, or else it won't appear once it has the class hide. So I want to remove it here. And when I add a number like 3, it goes away. There we go. Sweet. It works, baby. All right, cool. Now that's cool. I like it. But I kind of would rather it be in its own function. I know, weird of me to do that, but this is what you guys are here for. Check if error. It's gonna. So we know that we need 2 things. Well, I'm gonna. Sorry. Start it over. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this into here. I know that orig time is not within the scope of this function, and neither is error. So to make my life a whole lot easier, I'm gonna pass in some variables called o time, and I'm just gonna call this error. I'm just gonna keep it the same, and I'm gonna change this to o time, and I don't need to change error whatsoever. Go figure. And in here, I'm gonna say if check error. Actually, this needs to return something truthy. So if check error is truthy, and can't forget my vars, my variables. Oh, not my variables, but my parameters. Orig time. Actually, you know what? I don't really need error here. It's sort of a global. So we won't have that, and that's fine. And if check if error, so if this is truthy, literally we're returning true. I want it to return. I don't want it to continue running what's going to be written underneath. Just return. It's going to kick out and stop immediately, and it's going to notify the user, hey, this is not a number, fix it. And we test it. Hey, look at that. It works. It's working. This is exactly what we want the user to experience. We want them to understand that whatever they're doing is not working. Okay. So, now that we know that it's working, we're going to continue with create a timer. Now, if you guys remember, I got rid of the divs here. We have no reference or any got rid of the divs at the class timer here. So we want to create those dynamically. And so let's do that. Let's just create some divs. Why not? We're going to do that right now. So we have a variable called div here. Cool. Yeah, so we're going to set this variable div to document dot create element div. This is the equivalent to this jQuery method you guys been using, where we just create the div that way. It's the same exact thing. That's the same exact thing. You know, it's no difference here. All right, now we want to give this div a class called timer. Add timer. And this is the equivalent here. If we were to create a div, then we added an adder attribute, class, and pass in the string timer. Same exact thing. No difference here. No difference. I hope it's the same exact thing. What if I'm wrong? I'm pretty sure I'm right. So now we have div. We have a div called well, we have a div with the class timer, and now what we want to do is we want to add that to the page. Now, how do we add that to the page? Well, we have to add it to our container element. So I'm pretty sure JavaScript has dot append. Look at that, it does. So when we go to here, we refresh. Oh, we do. Hey, look at that. That is amazing, is it not? I think it is, at least. I don't know. It's pretty cool to me, at least. Now this is cool, fun, and dandy. I like it, but I kind of don't like this at the same time. I kind of want to create a function that just creates my divs for me. Yeah, this makes sense to me. Why not? I gotta give this function a name, right? Create div. And so I want this to create a div and return said div. So really all I need to do is I'm just gonna copy this and paste it. I don't want this to happen here. I want to return a div. That's all I want to do. That's it. That's it. And I'm gonna, obviously create a variable here. And it's doing the exact same thing. It's doing the exact same thing. And I kind of want to do div equals create div. So this method gets called, and it returns a div. That div gets set to this div variable here. And then I want to do a container dot append div. Let's see if my changes still work. We gotta test our changes, y'all. Yo, freaking phenomenal. This is amazing. So I'm gonna go over this one more time. We created a function. We create our div. Same exact thing as this in jQuery. And it's the same thing. We're just doing it in JavaScript. And then we add our class timer to it. Then we return that div. And then here we're setting that return div to this div variable that we created up here. That's all we're doing. We're just setting it right there, and then we're appending, we're adding that div to our page, but it's within the container, the container element. That's all. Look at this. It's a child element of the container here. That's all we're doing. There's nothing biggie. We've done this before, y'all. We've done this 1,000 times now. You guys are expert at this by now. Now, let's not forget what the end goal was. The end goal was to decrease the bar that we have here, right? We want this to be shrunken every second or so. So let's do that. Oh, why the heck not? So this is what we're gonna do here. La 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 la. All right. Oh, I almost skipped over something. Real quick. When we see this, the for remains. We is not, or we see this. The text remains. Let's make it a little bit nicer for our users. I'm just gonna set the value to an empty string, and if it does, if there isn't an error, and we still have other timers to create, I'm still gonna set it to an empty string. So let's see if it works. Cool. It works, baby. Awesome. I am a awesome freaking possum right now. I'm feeling good about myself. Oh, of course. Now, what we're not doing right now, what we haven't done yet is, if you guys remember, we like to set the uptime, the updated time, to the orig time. And I'm going to set it to a -1. I'm just going to set it to a -1. Just, it just makes more sense to me for some reason. Because, well, actually, do I need to? This time I won't for now. I won't for now. And we need it to decrement the uptime. The updated time needs to decrement every single second. So why not create an interval? But instead of doing a set interval here, you guys mind if I create a function called create interval? Yeah, I think that looks better, a whole lot better. All right, so we're gonna do original time. We're gonna pass in uptime. Actually, let's just write the function out first, just so you can sort of visually see what's going on here. First, creates interval. Now, the first thing I like to ask myself is what's needed. What is needed within this create interval? Well, I know I need a set interval, of course. Duh. We need that bad boy. And we need our second parameter, because we're decrementing every second, so passing in 1,000 milliseconds, which is What is 1,000 milliseconds? It's 1 second. You guys already know that because you're smarty pants. All right, so this is fine and dandy, but we've already discussed this. We need to be able to cancel out this set interval at any period of time. So we got to set it to a variable here. We just have to. We just do. We got to set it to a variable. We're gonna get the variable. I think the first one is 1. Then you create another set interval. We get a variable 2, 3, and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. So what we seen earlier was the percentage, which you guys mind if I just copy the percentage thing from down here? I just don't feel like recalling exactly what was, what we did here. Actually, I'm gonna copy all of this if you don't mind. I'm gonna just do this, copy, and then do that, and I'm gonna paste it, and then we'll discuss. Sweet. Okay, cool. All right, so we have earlier. This is what we had earlier. Just copy and paste it. Obviously, you just saw that. So we have our percentage. We have the updated time that's divided by an original time, which gives us the decimals, 0.25, whatever. But we want to multiply that by 100 because we have to move the decimal over 2 places. And then that gives us the percentage, and the width has to be a string, and we want to use string concatenation here. So let's say if this is 0.25 times 100 is 25%. This literally becomes this. Boom. When we use string concatenation. All right. Now, the timer DOM. We set the inner HTML to see some text, and that also gets decremented. And updated time. Okay, and then we clear interval whenever updated time is less than or equal 0. Okay, makes sense. Now, we don't have a DOM. We don't have the timer DOM. We don't have updated time here. We don't even have the my interval. I'm gonna change that right now to just ID. Okay. Now we do have it. And we're not even decrementing yet either. So we have to fill those holes. This isn't gonna work the way we want it to work because we're gonna get a bunch of undefined. So we know what's needed. We know that it's up here. How do we get it down here? Because it's out of its scope. If it's out of its scope, then I have a function here. Maybe we just pass it in as some parameters. Why not? So we have original time. We have updated time. I'm gonna call it U time, old time. We have our elements that we want to update, and we're gonna have something else here in a second, but we'll get there. So now I want to update these variables that are that don't exist. Well, I want to update the variables that I know I need to replace. So old time can be replaced with original time. U time can be replaced with updated time. Let's do it again. Let's do it one more time here. Now we have a beautiful, oh snaps, look at that. My editor told me that we're not using element because it's kind of grayed out. So we want to update timer DOM with element. So we're going to save that, and it's not going to work because we're not calling this function. Now how do we call a function? I'm just going to remove that. How do we call a function? With parentheses. Now I see we have orig time. That's going to be my first parameter. It tells me that I have U time. I'm guessing that's uptime here. And my third parameter is the div is an element. Div does not exist right now. It'll be undefined. So I'm gonna move it underneath here, and then I'm gonna pass it in. Boom! Look at that. I love it. One thing that I am missing is the updated time. So up U time minus. So I want to decrement it every second, right? Now when we refresh, put in 10 seconds. Look at that, it's decrementing. It's so weird though, right? Like if I do 10, it just feels like that's why I wanted to use the -1. It doesn't feel right. It just feels odd. It feels off. You know, it just feels off. Maybe it's just me. So I put 10 here. That feels a bit more on time, I guess. You know. So okay, enough of me bugging. Put 50. Looks like it's working. 20. Looks like it's working. It works. The only thing that we don't have right now is that it's not different colors. Oh wait. Yeah. This felt like it's a little faster. Let me add some more timers. Okay, cool. Looks like they're all working appropriately. Okay, cool. Yeah, sweet. All right. Also, if you weren't canceling or clearing intervals, it would bug out when you use multiple intervals. It would bug the freak out. It just would. But anyways, sweet. I'm happy. I'm a happy camper. It looks like we're just about done here. Is there something else that I'm missing? Well, we can make it different colors. Which is it's a CSS thing. Wait, let me. Almost skipped something else. Before we do that, I kind of want to show you another callback. And maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. I'm just gonna do it anyways. All right, so we're gonna do something pretty fancy here. I'm gonna pass in another argument here called cancel interval. Now this cancel interval is going to be a method. We've done callbacks already. This is a little bit different. You guys just just a little different. And it's okay. It's okay to be different. I love differences. It's gonna be a little different because the callbacks that you guys have been using, like add event listener, and then you put a comma here, and you pass in the function's name, whatever. We haven't actually created, or we do like a function here, and blah blah blah. I think I already discussed this already, but that's also a callback. Callback just means it's gonna be called at a later time, the function, and a callback has to be a function that's passing as a parameter. So we're gonna create a callback here. So function. Oh, this wouldn't actually work. Yes, it would. Tripping. And pass in the ID here, and we can do a clear interval with the ID. So instead of cancel interval here, we can just use our cancel interval there. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. It probably doesn't. All right, so it's essentially doing the same things we've done before, and I just want you guys to see. I know it's probably like a headache looking at this, but so we create a function. We created a function here as a parameter. Then we passed in an ID here, and then we're just calling clear interval. That's all that's going on. And then so when we call cancel interval, This is the name that we gave it. When we call cancel interval, it calls this method here that we created. And we could have created a function called da, 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 and then pass this in instead of this here, and this would have worked too. It's ID and clear interval. So of course you wouldn't name your function this at all. You can cancel I for interval, and that'll work too. And if you don't believe me, console.log. Ooh, what's going on over there? Let's not do that. Don't believe me, console.log. I get called once. Save it and we refresh. We put like 3 seconds here. We check console. 3, 2, 1. I get called once. The interval was canceled. So that's how that works. If you guys need a better explanation of that, probably could have done better with the callbacks. Maybe, I don't know. But I hope this makes enough sense for you guys. You guys have been using callbacks forever now. This is a callback. Again, one more time, I want to emphasize this again. This function here, it's a callback, and we could have wrote all of this within here. So I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. I'm going to try to edit this down. And if you have any questions about this, just let me know. All right. Have a good Sunday, you guys. Later.